Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Action, adventure, and espionage. Brian Donlevy in an episode of Dangerous Assignment, as it was originally broadcast on October 29th, 1952. Steve Mitchell heads for Havana.
Dangerous Assignment. Transcribed, starring Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
Yeah, danger is my assignment. I get sent to a lot of places I can't even pronounce. They all spell the same thing, though, trouble. But when I walk into the commissioner's office, I don't realize that this assignment's going to show that sometimes the only way you can win is to let the whole deal go up in smoke. Morning, Commissioner. You sent for me?
Steve, do you know anything about Jai Alai?
Handball game Latin style, isn't it? Fast and furious and pretty rugged. Especially if you get conked with a ball. It'll kill you.
Well, here's hoping you don't get conked, because you're going to attend the Jai Alai games at one of the arenas in Havana tonight. And you're going to bet on the team of Danielle and Scobo.
Are they good?
Haven't the faintest idea. We're only interested in the man who is going to take your bet.
Look, what's this all about, Commissioner?
For some time now, we've been trying to crack down on a smuggling ring operating out of Havana, running a regular shuttle between Florida and Cuba.
What are they running?
You name it. Everything in the book, including illegal entry now and then. We finally got a lead on the organization, Steve, from someone working on the inside.
That the boy I'm to contact? The one who's going to take my bet?
Right. He'll be up to Fronton Palace, window 3. You place your bet, and when you open your wallet, let him have a glance at your credentials. He'll take it from there. Get whatever information you can from him. Track down that organization and smash it. Well, that's it, Steve. You've got your assignment. Good luck.
The National Broadcasting Company is presenting Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy in the role of Steve Mitchell, colorful two-fisted government agent. At all those places of the world where danger and intrigue walk hand in hand, there you will find Steve Mitchell on another Dangerous Assignment.
Sure, I've got my assignment. Get down to Havana, bet a couple of bucks on a team of highlight players, and hope it pays off with the information we need to nail a ring of smugglers operating between Cuba and the United States. It's late afternoon when my plane sets down in Havana. I check in at my hotel, and that night I wander over to the Fronton Palace, a large indoor arena used for highlight games. Their teams on the floor are going at it hot and heavy, and the crowd is building steam. I watch them for a while, and then I ease over to the window number 3 to place my bet.
Si, senor.
I'll put a 5-spot on Danielle and Scobo.
Si.
Got quite a crowd here tonight.
Tonight and every night, senor. Jai Alai is a very popular spot in Havana. Here you are.
Thanks. Here's your 5.
Gracias, senor. There is an alley in back of the building. I will be waiting in my car. Half an hour, Senor Mitchell.
I'll be there. I get back to my seat and watch the players until the half hour is up. Then I ease around to the alley in the back. Spot the ticket seller sitting in a parked car close by. He doesn't answer when I come up. I reach in and he topples over on the steering wheel.
Unmarried. He has worked at the fronton for the past 2 years. In Francisco Rodas, no police record.
That's all we have on the dead man, huh, Lieutenant?
Unfortunately, yes. You say he was involved with the smuggling ring, Senor Mitchell?
So we were led to believe he was going to fill us in on it. Only somebody with a knife got to him first.
Someone obviously from the organization. They must have known he was going to talk.
Yeah. Where was Rhoda staying?
According to his identification card, 36 Paseo de Baracoa.
Let's go over and shake it down. The police lieutenant and I hustle over to the dead man's apartment, spend a good part of the night giving it a going over. Nothing. See, next morning he isn't alone when I walk into his office.
This is Jose Diego, a dock worker.
Senor? Hi.
There was a story in the morning's paper of the murder back at the fronton last night, Senor Mitchell. Jose read about it and came straight to police headquarters.
Oh?
Jose, tell Senor Mitchell what you have just told me.
Si. Last night, senor, I was at the fronton to the games, you know. A little after 10 o'clock, I left the arena. I had promised my wife I would be home early.
Go on.
As I walked past the alley entrance in back of the building, a man come running out. We collided. He continued to run, but as he passed under the street light, I see his face.
You recognized him?
Si. It was Senor Carmody.
Carmody?
An American. He has lived in Havana a good many years.
Myself, I have never met him, but I have seen him many times, senor. He's well known here.
Shall we say, a sportsman, Senor Mitchell. He has a fondness for high-speed automobiles and motorboats.
Oh?
Also, he owns an airplane and a yacht.
Does he? Well, that sounds very interesting, Lieutenant. Yeah, very interesting.
I suggest we pay a call on Senor Carmody.
I second the motion.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned you had placed a bet at the fronton on Danielle and Scobo?
That's right. Don't tell me
They
that...
lost.
Carmody's place is a low, rambling ranch house at the edge of town. He greets us at the door wearing a black silk dressing gown and a white muffler. He's carrying a tall glass of tomato juice and an obvious hangover. We follow him inside.
Well, I'd like to have you meet an old friend, Ralph Pawson.
Morning, gentlemen.
Mr. Mitchell, Lieutenant Moreno.
Lieutenant? Police Department. Oh.
Don't ask me what this is all about, Ralph. I wouldn't know. Sit down, gents.
Thank you.
And let's get on with it. My mood is not getting any better.
I'd just like to ask you a few questions, Carmody.
Sure.
Where were you last night?
Last night? Brother, a lot of places, Mitchell. So they tell me.
Go anywhere near the Fronton Palace, say around 10 o'clock?
The fronton? No, I don't think so. Look, what's this all about?
Murder.
Murder?
A man named Francisco Rodas was murdered in the alley behind the building a few minutes after 10 o'clock.
Hey, there was something about that in the morning paper.
Say, what's this got to do with me?
Someone saw you running out of that alley shortly after the crime was committed.
What?
Now, see here, Mitchell. Are you accusing him?
I just want to know what Carmody was doing there.
He was with me. We had dinner at the yacht club.
Yeah, that's right.
Fill in the time.
Well, we met at the club around 7. You can check with the waiters. They'll tell you.
What time did you leave?
Oh, around 10:30.
Can I check that with the waiters, too? Well, Pawson?
Look,
Wait a minute, Ralph. No need to stick your neck out on my account. What he says is true, Mitchell. We had dinner together at the club, but I left early.
How early?
A little before 9:30. Ralph had a phone call to make. I remember that much. Not too much more, I'm afraid.
Have a rough night?
Yeah. While I was waiting for Ralph, I spotted some friends at the bar. I went over, had another couple of drinks, and the next thing I knew, I was outside.
Go on.
Well, there's not much more to tell. I remember walking down the street, the Avenida Ruiz. It's all sort of vague after that. I finally got home around here about midnight.
Hey, this dead man, what was his name?
Rodas. Francisco Rodas.
Never heard of him. What'd he do?
He was employed at the fronton, senor.
Still doesn't register, Lieutenant.
Perhaps it will, senor, after you have taken a ride with us to police headquarters. Come along.
We take Carmody down to the brig. The witness, Jose Diego, positively identifies Carmody as the man he saw running away from the scene of the crime, and the local law books Carmody on suspicion of murder. A few minutes later, friend Pawson shows up with a lawyer in tow. The lawyer goes in to see Carmody, and Pawson tags after me as I walk out of police headquarters. I spend the next couple of hours with him as he fills me in on Carmody, and the rest of the afternoon checking on names and addresses he's given me. It all adds up to a big nothing. Late in the day, I wind up on the Avenida Ruiz near the yacht club. I've got a copy of the morning newspaper with me, Carmody's picture on the front page. I show it around, peddlers, shopkeepers, bartenders. No one remembers seeing Carmody last night until I run into a cab driver several blocks down the street.
This one, senor. Oh, si, I remember him. Oh, boy.
$10 American he give me.
You sure this is the man?
Si. Could I forget $10?
Where did you pick him up?
Right here in this corner.
What time?
Oh, was early, I think.
How early?
Just early.
9:30 or so?
Si. It's possible 9:30.
Where did you take him? To the Fronton Palace?
Fronton? No, senor, no. I drive him to Sebastian's casino. It's on the other side of town.
Oh.
Lieutenant Moreno speaking.
Steve Mitchell, Lieutenant. I'm calling from Sebastian's casino.
See?
Looks like maybe Carmody isn't our boy after all.
What?
Half a dozen employees of the casino remember seeing him here last night, including a couple of house cops who bounced him out of the joint for creating a disturbance.
What time was he there, senor?
He arrived a few minutes before 10, was given the bum's rush a half hour later.
Which means he could not have been in the alley back of the fronton at the time of the murder.
Right. Looks like we'll have to start all over, Lieutenant. You can start chewing your fingernails. I'll be over to join you. I hurry out of the casino, start down the narrow street, but I don't get very far. A car suddenly pulls away from the curb across the way. I duck, but not fast enough.
From October 29th, 1952, Dangerous Assignment on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network, so yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Brian Donlevy, the star of Dangerous Assignment, is reportedly the one who brought the program to NBC. It ran as a summer series in 1949 and then became a regular series from 1950, February 6, 1950, until its conclusion, July 8, 1953. The show also did go to television. That also sponsored by Brian Donlevy. He performed his own production company to do it. No TV network was investing in the series, and he went ahead and produced out of his own pocket 39 episodes of the program, and it was syndicated. So there you go. Dangerous Assignment starring Brian Donlevy on both radio and television. More of Dangerous Assignment now, October 29th, 1952, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Now back to Dangerous Assignment and Brian Donlevy as Steve Mitchell.
So, you are all right?
Huh? Oh, Lieutenant Moreno. Sure, I'm just dandy. Brother, my head.
The scalp one. The doctor, as you say, has bandaged it.
How'd they get here?
A cab driver brought you in. What happened?
I got shot at as I was leaving the casino.
After you telephoned to me that Carmody was in the clear?
Yeah, he must be. All of those witnesses there couldn't have lied. They all swore Carmody was there at the time of the murder. I think we ought to have another talk with our obliging little witness, Jose Diego.
Lieutenant Moreno, I swear to you, I'm telling the truth.
Look, how could you have seen Carmody in the alley behind the Fronton Palace when half a dozen people swear he was in the casino at the time?
Well, how do I know how such a thing could be? All I know is it was.
Lieutenant Moreno speaking. What? But... Very well, send her in. That will be all for the present, Diego. You will wait in the next room.
See?
What now?
An American woman, a Senora Henderson, insists on seeing me. She says it has to do with the matter we are investigating.
Oh?
Come in.
Lieutenant Moreno?
Yes? May I present Senor Mitchell?
How do you do?
Mrs. Henderson?
What can I do for you, Senora?
I'll be brief. My name is Barbara Henderson. I'm from Miami. I arrived here in Havana 2 weeks ago looking for my husband.
Oh?
You see, he left me during the war. His name was Jim Henderson. We were married in Baltimore in January of 1944.
I see. And you have reason to believe your husband is now here in Havana?
Yesterday, I found out without a doubt that he's here.
Look, Mrs. Henderson, this is all very interesting, but I don't quite see what it has to do with the case we're investigating right now.
Just this. See this picture in the newspaper? The man you're holding here is a suspect?
Sure. His name is Carmody.
No, you're wrong, Mr. Mitchell. That's my husband, Jim Henderson.
Lieutenant and I look at each other. All of a sudden, the whole case is busted wide open again. We have Carmody brought in from his cell. Mrs. Henderson promptly drapes herself on him.
Jim.
Hey, what is this?
Oh, Jim, please. Why did you leave me?
Look, what gives here? Who is she, Mitchell?
Mrs. Henderson. And she says you're Mr. Henderson.
What?
Jim, don't do this to me.
Look, I've never seen this dame before in my life.
Why, you... He's lying, Lieutenant. He is Jim Henderson. We were married in Baltimore in January 1944, and he deserted me.
Guess again. I was in the Army in Europe in January 1944. I could have married this babe in Baltimore.
You were in the Army, huh?
I sure was. You can check that, Mitchell.
Don't worry, Carmody. I will. Mrs. Henderson gives us the name of her hotel and leaves. We send Carmody back to his cell, and I get off a cable to Washington about him. Then we send for Pawson, who promptly swears he was with Carmody in Europe during 1944. The three of us wait in Lieutenant Moreno's office for a reply from Washington. Every time Pawson finishes a cigarette, he methodically rips open the paper, scatters the tobacco flakes in the ashtray, and crumples the paper into a tiny ball. Finally, Moreno can't stand it anymore.
Why do you do that? Nerves?
That's Army, isn't it, Pawson?
Yeah. If you ever had a police at camp yard, you'd know why, Moreno.
The tobacco flakes mingle with the dust, and the crumpled up paper is a lot less noticeable than a cigarette butt on the ground.
Very sensible. Yeah, Carmody taught me that when we were in together. Hey, look, when are you guys going to lay off him? I told you we were in Europe together. How could he have married that woman? How could he have anything to do with any of this? Come in. The answer to your cable, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Well?
Carmody was in Europe in January of 1944.
Yeah, now are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Look, it's pretty obvious to me that this guy Henderson is the one you really want.
Looks that way. Come on, Lieutenant. Let's check with Mrs. Henderson again. See if she can give us any further information on her husband. We check at Mrs. Henderson's hotel, but she's not in. The clerk expects her back momentarily, so we decide to wait in her room.
A very mystifying case, Mitchell.
Yeah. Either there is a guy named Henderson, and he's our man, or...
Or what?
I don't know. Something bothering me about this whole setup.
What is it?
Can't put my finger on it.
I know what you mean.
I wish Mrs. Henderson would show up.
It has only been a few minutes. You cigarette?
Thanks. You know, this whole deal has been one big merry-go-round. It's cost us a lot of time, Moreno.
You're right. But what else can we do?
That's a good question. Hey, wait a minute.
What is it?
This ashtray.
See, what about it?
Take a look.
Just a couple of cigarette butts with lipstick and Mitchell.
Yeah. Flakes of tobacco and tiny balls of cigarette paper.
Awesome.
Brother, I said this deal had cost us a lot of time. That's just the way it was planned. Come on. We head for Pawson's apartment. He's not there. We do a fast checkup on him and uncover a couple of very interesting facts, one of which sends us hightailing down to the waterfront.
This is the place, Mitchell.
Yeah. Paulson's lawyer said he owned that little cluster of fishing boats out there at the pier. If I will get you 10 that he's on one of them right now, getting ready to shove off.
You take one side, I will take the other.
We split up. I work my way along the row of boats. They're all dark except for small deck lights. Then suddenly I spot somebody climbing aboard one of them. It's Mrs. Henderson. I slip aboard and grab her.
Mitchell!
But just then something hard connects with the back of my head. I go to my knees.
Sorry, Mitchell. I've been standing out here on deck in the dark for several minutes waiting for Barbara.
You know, Parson, you're giving this head of mine a pretty rough go. First you crease it with a slug, then you massage it with a gun butt.
Like I say, I'm sorry. All right, lean against the rail. You'll be okay.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I will. You've been leading Marino and me a merry chase in the deal. First you hire Jose Diego to swear that he saw Carmody near the scene of Rhoda's murder. We find out that he couldn't have been. Then you hire your pal Barbara here to pose as Mrs. Henderson with a phony story about her husband. Sounds to me like you've been working for time.
Right. 48 hours of it, to be exact. It's taken me that long to convert my Havana holdings to cash. Sure, I could have taken a powder right after I killed Rhodas, but I had to leave broke. This way, I'm carrying about $100,000 with me.
Heading the smuggling ring must have been profitable.
Oh, yes. You see, Mitchell, if I hadn't given you a bum steer right off the bat, you'd have probably concentrated more on the victim's background.
And the conclusion of Dangerous Assignment, October 29, 1952, follows these important secret messages from Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox and your favorite station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy, October 29, 1952.
You'd have discovered he used to work for me in the fishing fleet here. That probably would have gotten you interested in me right off the bat. I had to stall that off until I got my money.
You did a pretty neat job of it, too. If it hadn't been for those crumpled cigarette papers in Barbara's room, I might never have tumbled.
Oh, so that was it, huh? Oh, very careless of me.
What are you waiting for, Parson? Kill him.
Not here. It's too noisy. You're coming out with us on the boat, Mitchell.
Oh, bully for me. Okay, let's get started.
Hardly. I doubt if you came down here alone, Mitchell. Your friend Marino must be around. If we start the boat now, he'll flash a warning to the harbor patrol. So we'll just stand here in the dark, nice and quiet, until he comes along. And we'll take care of him first.
Really, senor?
What? Watch out, Marino. I've got him. Oh!
Sorry, Barbara, old girl, but you're not leaving.
Let go.
Oh, relax. You okay, Lieutenant?
Yes, his shot was quite wild. And before I could return it, you had taken care of him quite effectively.
Well, I sort of felt I owed him that.
How'd Marina know you were on this boat, Mitchell?
His signal told me.
Signal?
Sure. Boston gave the idea when he told me to lean on the rail. See that little black deck light beside it? I was passing my hand back and forth in front of it while I was talking to Forson. My body screamed it from you. I figured the flashing light would bring Marino.
Which you did, in the nick of time.
Yeah, I guess you might say you finally saw the light, huh?
Our star, Brian Donlevy, will return in just a moment. What did you do for your country today? Stand guard at some lonely outpost? Stand watch on the cold, windswept bridge of a patrolling U.S. Navy destroyer? No, but you can still do your part to guard peace, the peace that is for the strong. Make today your D-Day. Buy an extra bond for defense, and then keep buying them regularly. There's no safer, surer investment than with United States defense bonds. And you build security not only for yourself, but your country, too, when you buy defense bonds. They serve to combine America's economic strength with its military strength. And it's this combined strength that protects your town, your home, your right to work and prosper in peace. And remember, if you don't save regularly, you generally don't save at all. So join the payroll savings plan where you work, or sign up for the bond-a-month plan where you bank. Make today your D-Day. Buy defense bonds. Always remember, defense is your job, too.
Next week, Turkey. I nominate myself for a slab in the morgue.
And that will be Steve Mitchell's Dangerous Assignment next week. Included in tonight's cast were Harry Bartell, Tony Barrett, Nestor Paiva, Herb Ellis, and Kay Stewart. This is John Storm speaking. Dangerous Assignment, starring Brian Donlevy in the role of Steve Mitchell, with Herb Butterfield as the commissioner, is written by Bob Reif and Adrian Jandot and is produced and directed by Bill Karn. Be with us again next week at this same time when Brian Donlevy, starring in the role of Steve Mitchell, will embark on another transcribed Dangerous Assignment.
Brian Donlevy, best known for his films, as he was in Beau Geste in 1939. He did get an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor in Beau Geste. Also, The Great McGinty and Wake Island in 1942. He passed away in 1972, throat cancer. He was 71. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Dangerous Assignment, October 29th, 1952. The Secret Police come up next. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Elliot Lewis, Howard McNear, John Gibson, and also Gail Gordon as the Octopus in this episode of Speed Gibson of the International Secret Police. This episode originally broadcast October 29th, 1938.
Speed Gibson of the International Secret Police.
Ceiling zero. Ceiling zero.
Speed has gone to Nagchuka to summon Bob Gilmore and his men to gather in Lhasa preparatory to an advance on the headquarters of the Octopus in the Pass of the Iron Dagger. His Uncle Clint has remained at the house of La Chaux-Tzi Ring to formulate the best method of attack and also listen for word from Barney, who has flown to Black Pass for Chief Tipo and his prisoner Chen, chief pilot of the Octopus Squadron of Planes. Meantime, another Octopus plane containing Quan Wu has been waiting for Barney to start his return flight. The moment he gets in the air, the enemy plane drops like a hawk, spitting machine gun bullets at the plane piloted by the surprised Barney. The two planes are engaging in an aerial dogfight, and Barney is hard put to outmaneuver his enemy.
What are you doing, Dunlap? I'm trying to dive out of his way. Then if we can play hide and seek in these clouds, I'm going to try and get above him and give him some of his own medicine. Get on our machine gun, Chief Tipo. Can you work one? Yes, but how can I from a plane like this? Oh, it's a special job. Here, slide back that hatch. This? That's right. Wait a minute now. We're in a cloud. I'm going to climb again. Now we're out of the storm. Can you see anything of the Octopus plane? Not yet. He must have followed you into the clouds. You're telling me? That babe was on my tail every minute. We got enough holes in our wings to make a swell sieve. I only hope they hold up in this dogfight. Otherwise, you may learn how it feels to make a parachute jump. I hope not. Me too. Now, turn that crank by the machine gun, and you and the gun will rise a little. You'll be a better target for the other gunner. But you can get in some good licks yourself if you're smart. Can you work it? Yes, this is wonderful. Yeah. But when I bear down on this guy, if we ever find him, shoot. Shoot through the propeller? Yeah. It's time to a split second to miss it. Hey, there's that plane again.
This time we have the advantage.
We have if I can climb faster than he can. This crate is larger than his and not quite so fast. But I think I got a good enough start on him to turn and dive back on him when we gain enough altitude. Look at Chan. He's scared stiff.
You can laugh at a time like this, Dunlap?
Sure, Tipo. I can always laugh if I got half a chance in a fight. And we got more than half a chance now. That other pilot never thought we'd live through his first attack. He's kind of worried now.
And listen, his gun again. How can he hope to hit us at this distance?
I told you he was worried. He's wasting his ammunition. But I'm going to bear down on him now, so get ready to use that machine gun, T-Bow. I'll give you the word when we're within range.
I shall be ready.
Let her go. Add up, boy, T-Bow. You wink.
They're bearing off. They'll escape.
Not with me after them, they won't. They started something, and I'm going to finish it. And them. Okay, start shooting. You got him. You punctured the fuel tank. The ship's afire. There they go. Poor guys. But it was either them or us. Come on inside now, Chief Depot, and we'll hit for home.
And her brother. What an exciting life they have had.
And excitement has its bad points as well as good, Dawa. I guess you've learned that during our stay here. Huh?
You mean the episode concerning the arrow in the garden?
Yes.
Yes, that was very bad. Both Speed and I would have lost our lives had he not sensed the peril in time.
But that sounds like a car. Must be your father and Speed.
I shall see. It is, Mr. Barlow, and they have someone else with them.
Someone else? Let me see.
You see, they are helping him out of the car.
Oh, yeah. What? Why, it's Larry Winfield.
How could he have recovered as quickly as that?
I don't know, Darwell. Those vapors of sleep that the octopus used on him were unknown to Dr. Kingsley. Without added doses, the recovery must be rapid. A little food and rest, and Larry seems to be well on the way to recovery.
He is still very weak. Speed and my honored male parent are supporting him.
Yes, so I see. Let's go to meet them, huh?
They must have brought him here for a very important reason.
Yeah, Speed is beaming like a plane beacon. Oh, here we are.
Hi, Clint. Hi, Dawa.
Well, how are you? Well, so, Lawrence Winfield is himself again, huh?
You bet. As soon as he gets strong again. Larry, this is my uncle, Clint Barlow.
Oh, Barlow. Words can never express my gratitude for what you've done for Marcia and me.
Oh, now don't think about things like that, Larry. Here, sit over here in this easy chair.
There. Does that feel better?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Searing.
I believe some hot tea would be welcome to all of us. If you will excuse me a moment, I shall order some.
Of course, Mr. Searing.
I know you have much to tell your Uncle Speed, and this will give you an opportunity.
He's right, Clint. Oh, but first, Larry, this is Dawat Searing, Mr. Searing's son.
Oh, glad to meet you, Dawa.
And I am most honored, Mr. Winfield. I've heard a great deal about you from Speed, and since seeing you when you were brought...
Hi, Dawa.
Well, how are you? Well, so, Lawrence Winfield is himself again, huh?
You bet. As soon as he gets strong again. Larry, this is my uncle, Clint Barlow.
Oh, Barlow. Words can never express my gratitude for what you've done for Marcia and me.
Oh, now don't think about things like that, Larry. Here, sit over here in this easy chair.
There. Does that feel better?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Searing.
I believe some hot tea would be welcome to all of us. If you will excuse me a moment, I shall order some.
Of course, Mr. Searing.
I know you have much to tell your Uncle Speed, and this will give you an opportunity.
He's right, Clint. Oh, but first, Larry, this is Dawat Searing, Mr. Searing's son.
Oh, glad to meet you, Dawa.
And I am most honored, Mr. Winfield. I've heard a great deal about you from Speed, and since seeing you when you were brought from Lake Tengrenor, have been most anxious concerning your welfare.
Yes, I guess I've been more trouble than I'm worth.
Oh, now here, that's no way to talk.
Oh, but it's true, Barlow. If I hadn't gotten mixed up with the octopus in the beginning, Marcia would never have come to China to risk her life looking for me.
Now, that word if plays an important part in every life, Larry. But what's done is done. Now then, if you're strong enough, I want you to tell me everything you know about this criminal. How you first met him. What caused you to get involved with him? And what happened after that?
Can I tell you something important first, Clint?
Well, oh, yes. What is it, Speed?
When Dr. Kingsley said that Larry could come back home with us if we took good care of him, We left Nagchuka and stopped off at Lhasa as we passed through it.
Oh, say, by the way, did you give Bob his orders to bring back the men to Lhasa immediately?
Yeah, and as he raring to go, he'll come here as soon as he gets them settled in Lhasa.
Good.
While we were in Lhasa, Mr. Searing stopped up at the government building to see if anything new had been reported. And I want to see if any word had come from Chief Riley yet. And it had.
What? You mean that we have an answer on those pictures of Paul Mounier that we telephoted to New York?
You bet. And here it is.
Well, wait a minute. Now, let's see. Can discover no resemblance in telephoto pictures of Mounier to pictures in Rogue's Gallery. This proves we have no photographic record of Octopus. Well, that's a disappointment.
Not such a big one, Clint. It was just a shot in the dark anyhow. You thought it might not match up with any of them.
Yes, I know, Speed,
But those pictures I took are going to be valuable anyhow. Larry Winfield knew the real Paul Mounier.
What? Yes, I met him in Hong Kong.
Well, then you could identify him from a picture?
Yes, it was 3 years ago when I saw him, but he had such a striking face I'd know him anywhere.
And even if you saw another face made up to look like him?
Well, what do you mean?
Shall I get the pictures, Clint? I have them in my room.
Oh, yes, Speed, and hurry. This may be the turning point of the whole case.
Okay, I'll be right back.
May I see that cable from Chief Riley, Mr. Barlow? I have never seen one before.
Oh, yes, of course, Laura. Here you are.
But this is not the message you just read to us. This one says, weather unfavorable for scientific expedition. Supplies low. Stand by.
Well, the International Secret Police have a code, Dawa. We send all our important messages in code.
Oh, now I understand.
Your organization is wonderful. I hate to think of what would happen to us if it hadn't been for the secret police.
We operate to capture such criminals as the Octopus, Larry. And then law-abiding citizens won't be in such deadly danger.
Here is the tea, gentlemen. Dawa will pass the bowls and pour the tea.
It'll taste mighty good to me. The weather's very cold.
Yes, night is drawing on. I do hope that Barney and Chief Tipo return before darkness.
Yes, I hope so too, Dawa. They should if everything has gone right. But now that we have our tea, suppose you begin your story, Larry.
All right. Well, Marsha's already told you that I came to China as engineer for an oil company. Now, this company was interested in the possibilities of oil in Tibet as well as in China.
Yes?
I was making a good salary and decided to experience as much as I could of the Far East. While we were planning the expedition, I had my nights to myself, so I fell into the habit of gambling.
Is that when you met Bob Gilmore?
No, I met him a little later, Dawa. I thought I was having a fine time, even though I kept losing steadily. Didn't want to borrow on my salary. So a wealthy Chinese gentleman, Quan Wu, told me that he'd lend me the money to pay my gambling debts. I could settle with him as I was paid.
Quan Wu?
I have heard you mention that name in connection with the octopus.
Why, certainly. Wu's the right-hand man of the octopus.
Why, I knew nothing of this. Wu was welcomed everywhere, highly thought of.
Here are the pictures, Clint.
Oh, yes, thank you. Hey, wait a minute. That sounds like a plane. Barney's coming in.
Has he enough light to land, Mr. Barlow?
Yes, Dawa. Let's go out into the field, huh? Oh, will you please stay here with Larry, Mr. Searing?
Of course, I shall be most happy to.
I don't want to let him out of our sight for a minute. The octopus may have spies in the neighborhood. You'll have to wait for a few minutes, Larry.
All right, Barlow. I'll drink some more tea while you're gone.
The boy. Come along, you two kids. Gee, it sure is cold. I'll say it is.
Hi, Barney. Hi.
Hi, kid. Boy, oh boy, Clint, have the fireworks started.
Huh? What do you mean? Well, you've been fired upon.
By an octopus plane, no less. But I crashed him. It means open war, old pal.
So it does, Barney. We won't wait any longer. We're going to take the octopus tonight, before he has a chance to gather his forces in the pass. Come on.
October 29th, 1938, Speed Gibson of the International Secret Police here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And your name, sir?
Friends, this is Bob Hope. If an atom bomb were to hit your home city, would you know what to do? Remember, one explosion of an atom bomb could kill 75,000 and maim 100,000. This is only one kind of a disaster which could strike. In addition to many forms of enemy action, there are the dangers of fire, flood, earthquake, and traffic. Knowing what to do before, during, and after a disaster can improve your chances of survival. There is something you can do and do now. You can learn a pattern of survival. Your local Office of Civil Defense is ready to help. Persuade your club, your church, your friends, and your neighbors to help to learn to live. Remember, this is the atomic age. No one can escape its hazards, but everyone can prepare. Listen carefully. What you are about to hear can save your life. Do you know the siren signal in case of atomic attack? Do you know how to find shelter? Do you know how to give first aid? Do you know what will be done for your safety? For further details, consult your local Office of Civil Defense.
And thank you for spending part of your day with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream. And you can stream our shows. You can learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find sites that have our shows available for download. You can find our social media links. You can contact me. And if you'd like to help us expand our collection, you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money is poured exclusively into expanding our classic radio collection. classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.